mass formation. I think before I even describe what that is, or mass psychology, or mass hypnotism, I wish to begin this conversation with actually a plot twist to the Emperor's New Clothes. And this will make a great deal of sense and tie together the idea of mass transformation. So we get to the end of the story, right? The whole town, the Emperor has been hypnotized by these thieves, these knaves, who have tricked him, deceived him, and, well, you know the story. And henceforth, the whole village, or whatever town, is also in a form of hypnosis, in that they have gone along with the Emperor. Now, isn't it right at the end when a child breaks that spell and says, "But the Emperor's got nothing at all on," right? So here's the plot twist. What if in that moment everyone was just like, because they start, right? Don't they start like, yeah, the child is right. The father says so. Listen to the voice of the innocents. Well, that's the end of the story. However, you know, they start, and perhaps this is my envisaging of things, that in taking that idea with today, what the child's father and then everyone else sort of did was start lobbying against the Emperor, the councilman, whatever, started writing letters that, you know, this is really wrong, because they continued to pretend that the Emperor was wearing clothes, right? You know the story. So what if, along with that child, everyone was like, yeah, what the heck, man? You're naked. Just turned around and walked away. Just walked away. And didn't, no longer paid attention to the Emperor. It's just like, screw you, mate. You know what I mean? Power gone. But they helped him uphold the lie, the hypnotic sort of spell, and going deeper into that spell. So now we'll go into what mass formation is. And it is a form of hypnosis. It is most definitely a form of hypnosis. But actually, I think what we need to do first is discuss the precursor to mass formation. And actually, I'll give you a few examples, and again, this will all tie in together, of like, you know when, here's the basic premise. You've got siblings, you know, perhaps you've been in this situation yourself, sibling rivalry, and, you know, people aren't talking to each other. Thanksgiving dinners, Christmas, whatever, is all a big, you know, it is what it is sort of thing. And so they don't like each other, the siblings, and they don't generally speak. But a parent gets sick, right? So for the sake of the parent, everyone bands together and forgets their woes, forgets their, you know, all the stuff. And you know, and they might, and it might well be over, dealt with, time heals things, whatever. But I think we come to the end, you know, we're like the parent, let's say the parent does pass away. And then then the bickering starts again, the rivalry over who gets what or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not uncommon. So actually, nothing was really resolved. It was just that the focus shifted from the rivalry between each other to a really a situation where all of their focus was pulled into that. And then that situation was over, parents gone, and actually nothing was really resolved, because it was just a shift of focus. Does that make sense? I'll leave that with you. But also we can take sibling rivalry and substitute it for a relationship whereby, you know, there's a couple who, let's say they have a child, but before the child is born, you know, they know they shouldn't be together. You know, they're each cheating on each other, not happy, just generally not happy, you know, don't like work and whatever. Anyways, they go ahead and have a kid, and now it's kind of like, oh crap, you know, bundle of joy and whatever. And that's all nice and whatever, because the focus is taken off of, so it's the same thing, the focus is taken off the relationship, and all the focus goes into the child. And, you know, maybe that's 20 years worth of focusing elsewhere for the good of the kid, but hating each other and continuing on with the affairs. You get what I'm saying, right? And then the kid leaves, and then the parents get divorced. Common story, right? Or it's a job situation. Substitute that, you know, where you go into work, you hate it, you hate your colleagues, and yes, I am painting quite an extreme picture just to make a point. So painting a watercolor, let's say, as opposed to an oil where it's, you know, anyways, you get what I mean, I hope. So you get a work situation where someone, you know, gets up every day, goes into the place, you know, racks in 150 grand a year, whatever, and they have all this stuff, but really, you know, sort of no meaning to it all, just kind of going along, going with the flow, and, you know, maybe does have a supportive partner at home, maybe not, whatever. And then, so work is crappy, for all intents and purposes, other than the actual job, perhaps, you know, maybe that's not even like, you know, of joy, like really, truly, properly of like, I love getting up in the morning to go to this place, despite the people, it's okay, you know, whatever, I love what I do. I don't know how many people actually have that. That you love waking up in the morning and doing what you do. Anyways, that's besides the point. So anyways, you go into this place, let's say there's 25 people there, let's say it's a tech company, you don't really get along with the others, but you know, you're there, you're making the money, whatever, it doesn't make sense, but you know, it's all sort of happening. And then, you know, Facebook comes in and says, we want to buy you. But, you know, just for the sake of an example, you know, now then, the people that you don't normally like, you know, all of you band together to sort of fight Facebook, right? Or whatever company. And you all band together because you want to maintain, you want to keep your job, it's paying your bills, it's, you know, giving you loads of money, whatever, despite the fact that you like it or not, whatever, you know, it doesn't all make sense, but you want to keep that. So you fight it and, you know, you win, let's say, and then, but things, you know, kind of go back to normal in that, like, all right, so we won that and we were nice to each other and everything. And then, you know, at the end of it all, actually, you're still the same. You know, things go back to normal and it's as crappy as it was before. Little things might have stayed changed. However, for the most part, it's business as usual, really. So all that to say, mass formation, mass psychology, mass hypnosis, crowd psychology, needs 4 things in order for it to proliferate. But actually there's the underlying foundation, first of all. And in order for it to even exist, there needs to be a state amongst the masses of discontent. So the first thing is that there's already a great sense of isolation, that people are not connected to each other anymore. And you know, need I give examples that, you know, you're on your phone, couples, you can, let's just put it this way, that you can be in a room with one person or 5 people or whatever, and actually be and feel lonely, because a deeper sense of connection just doesn't exist. So isolation is the first thing, and that was already before this entire global situation began, quite rampant. I mean, there are stats out there, whatever. However, I don't even think I need to say them. The second thing is a sense of discontent. So there's the isolation that exists, and then there's the like things don't make sense. Why am I doing what I'm doing? You know, like, why am I getting up in the morning? Okay, it pays my bills and buys me lots of things, whatever. But the meaning of, like, the true meaning of why I'm here, why are we here, what are we doing, we sort of lost the plot. So with that comes this floating anxiety, which is different than anxiety in that, like, you know, you've got a deadline for work and you're not totally ready, and you need to, like, present something on Monday morning, and you don't have all the material, so you're anxious. You know why you're anxious. However, floating anxiety is different, because it's sort of this looming thing. You don't know the source of it. It's just this, things don't feel good, and I don't know why I'm having panic attacks, and I don't know why, I don't know what's going on. So that's part and parcel with mass formation. And the last thing is this floating discontentment as well. So it's just, you know, a lack of fulfillment, really. And it's Professor Matthias Desmet of Ghent University in Belgium, where I, you know, picked up all this information from, and then looked into it a little bit further. Incredible man, incredible and brave for coming out with all this. So we've got the basis for how mass formation psychosis can proliferate, and why it does, and why it does with some people, actually, and not others. We'll get into as well. So we've experienced, as a human race, we've experienced a situation before, during the time of Hitler, during the time of Stalin, you know, during the world wars, where there were dictatorships. And now I must say that we'll talk about dictatorship and totalitarianism, and how the two differ in terms of hypnosis and crowd formation, and getting people to do things that they wouldn't normally do, because they're under a form of hypnosis, or believe things that they normally wouldn't believe, because they've lost all reasoning and logic and rationale, and all that stems from, so the basis is that, you know, people will go along with stuff. We will go along with stuff when something's so crappy, as described in the situations before. You know, like the parents who don't like each other but have the child, and are just, you know, sticking together for the sake of the child, you know, but they hate each other, they're having affairs, whatever, and whatever. Again, I'm painting an extreme picture, but I think it's not uncommon. So their focus and attention is taken off of each other in that crappy situation, or it's the work situation, or it's a sibling rivalry, whatever, and it's put on this greater situation. So all the focus is shifted to what's currently going on. And what is currently going on? Well, there's a pandemic, and I do put that in quotes. And look, what I wish to say here at this point at 1540 is that my intention in making this video is to actually bring us together. I don't care if you've had the jab or not. I don't care what your stance is. I don't care. I think when we, like the child, just kind of, it's not about seeing things clearly. It's about seeing each other clearly and recognizing that that actually we're still, at the end of the day, brothers and sisters. And what you think about things in the world, whether it be politics or the way you raise your children or whatever, you know, we can do things differently and still be okay in each other's space. So that's sort of like that's how I wish to relay this information. It's not about an us versus them. It's about bringing things into to 0 point, as opposed to focusing on them, those that have created this situation. And let's actually talk about them. Let's go back to totalitarianism and a dictatorship. The difference between the two in terms of hypnosis is that in a dictatorship, the people are hypnotized because of the dictator. They fear the dictator. They fear the Hitler, right? So they fear for their lives. But the Hitler himself, for example, we'll take him, was himself not under any hypnosis. He was just outright like Hitler. And would do anything for the power. And in a totalitarianistic regime, it's hard to tell, because there's a Hitler and there's, you know, the concentration camps, and it's all very obvious, you know, and there's something to be, it's like the Rwandan, the genocide I was talking about recently is all very obvious, it's all very plain sight, it's all very overt. But in a totalitarian system, and going back to the idea of in regards to hypnosis, actually it's those who are creating or proliferating the situation. They are actually in a very, very narrow band of focus of what they are projecting. So these guys actually, the Bezos and the you know who they are. I can't even think of the names right now, to be honest with you, Charles Schwab, whatever. You know, those guys actually believe what they're purporting. They actually, I mean, there is all the stuff. There's the Agenda 21 and whatever, and I don't want to get into, that's not my focus here. But what I just want to focus on is these people who, you know, were at one point a 4-year-old child, you know, crying to mommy, and just focus on the humanity of that. And man, like, I don't know what I would do in their position. They believe what they're doing. And they believe that it's for the greater good, actually. So, exterminating, you know, pockets of humanity around the world, because they really think that, you know, lowering the population is what's going to make the world a better place. And you know, when there's less humans, that's what's... So, for all intents and purposes, killing people off in a covert way is they believe that that's right. You know, because again, when we talk, you know, in terms of the hypnosis, you know, they're in the completely, they themselves, that's the difference between a dictator and a totalitarian leader, is that the dictator is not under hypnosis. They're very clear about what they're doing, but the totalitarian leader is under a very narrow band of focus and thinks that they're doing a world of good. Well, they both do. Anyways, so we've got to look at, like, take a step further and see, like, what is, like, I haven't described it yet. I've talked around it, but let's go deeper into mass formation and, you know, what it looks like today. And according to Professor Matthias Desmet, who is a statistician and a clinical psychologist, you know, he says something really interesting. He was like, you know, the whole thing just didn't make sense to him from the very beginning. And I mean, you can watch the video, I'll link it, whatever. It didn't make sense to him. And he said it actually took him, as someone trained in statistics and psychology, it took him 6 months to figure out actually what's going on. And it's this mass formation idea that's repeating itself again. And at the basis of it, I'll give it, it's between he and Aubrey Marcus. They give a beautiful example of work by Gustav LeBon, who was a French everything. And one of the experiments that he ran, it's the line test, whereby a group of people are brought into a room. The idea is that it's group mentality and influencing the one. So it's 8 people are brought into a room. 7 of them are working with the person orchestrating the experiment, and they're all in on it together. And the one person is, you know, is left. We're left to see whether that person uses their own, goes with what is the obvious truth, or, you know, out of lack of confidence or whatever, just influenced by the group, whether they go along with that. So what it is 4 lines, and 2 of them are identical. Let's say it's A and it's D, and B and C are, like, obviously incorrect. So naturally, you know, so everyone's giving their answers, and the 8th person, the guy that's not part of the project, is the last to answer. So, you know, they start rhyming off that, oh, it's B or it's C, whatever. You know, but nobody's saying, well, A and D are the same. So the last person, it's left up to them, you know, whether they decide that they're going to agree with everybody else, or they're just going to, you know, have the strength and courage to state what's the obvious truth. And would you believe, if I'm not mistaken, if my memory serves me correct, 85% of people that one who is solo, 85% go along with the group. So that's sort of the basis of mass transformation. So at present, according to the statistics of Dr. Desmet, 30% of people believe, without questioning anything, what's going on in regards to this global situation. 30% blindly believe. Then there's the 40% who are like the person, they'll go in either direction, basically. You know, they're influenced by people around them, by workmates, whatever. They're influenced, right? And then there's the 30% on the other end who are speaking up, freaking out, maybe it looks like. And a large part of, so we can say that actually, so there's 30, 40, 30, right? We can say that the majority of people are not convinced, because that 40% can go in either direction. It's 30% are hardcore. Yeah, I'm there. I believe it. Yeah, give it all to me. You know, I'll do it all. I'll do it all. I'll, you know, sanitize my hand 25 times a day, and whatever. You know. So, in order for mass formation to be effective, there needs to be a damn good media platform supporting it and giving it all the information. We've got that, right? And it's a singular coagulated voice. And Aubrey Marcus talks in his podcast about, you know, seeing like hundreds of someone's done a beautiful video, and I used to show this to my students as well. Hundreds of you know, they're like thumbnails of reporters speaking, different news agencies all sort of superimposed into one screen, and they're all saying the same thing, the exact same thing, like reading off a script. So that's, I mean, none of this is in the history books, you know. This is it's already happened. So here's the thing, which is quite, I mean, I was so depressed actually watching this podcast, because there's nothing really, the ball is rolling, and to stop mass formation, mass psychology, mass psychosis, hypnosis, whatever you want to call it, you know, it would be beautiful if, like the example I gave of the Emperor's new clothes, you know, we could be like the child and as strong as the people who were around that child. We're past the point where we can just turn around and be like, no, man, like I know my body, I trust my body. My immunity is fantastic. I don't need a mask. You know, no, I'm good. Past that point, well past that point. And the thing is, so many people's, with the level of floating anxiety, you know, talking about the 4 points and stuff, you know, the level of, I think it would be hard to hear, you know, the things that, if I was to outline everything. You know, I can think of people around me and, you know, someone suffering from alcohol addiction, another person, you know, on the brink of suicide because just not happy with life. Not in my direct vicinity, but people I know of. And I know that, you know, in speaking to others, that this isn't, I'm not alone in you know, expressing that. That there was a general discontentment with the world long before this happened. And that's why it could happen. That's the point. That's why it could happen. Because what's happened is this is where it all ties in together. That where things didn't make sense before and we couldn't band together because within ourselves there isn't this banding together. Now we band together. Now a lot of people band together to fight something that has taken over the world. It's going to kill us all. And the thing is, there's no rational debate. Like, you've seen that. You've seen whatever, you know, we look like the crazies to some people. I don't even, you know, I speak from the middle. But I have been on one side before, and, you know, looked, yeah, mad. How can you believe that? There's so much evidence, though. There's so much evidence that this is a killer thing, you know. And then the other side is saying 97% success rate. Get yourself some ivermectin. Been around for 50 years. All kinds of studies have been done on it. You know what I mean? A lot of... So that's one of the things as well with mass formation, is that, you know, that the media really purports everything. It's very orchestrated. And generally, so that's why you know, there's such a strong, they have a strong single message, or singular message, and that is that, you know, there's this thing and it's deadly, it's a killer. Whereas, you know, the 30% on the other end, you know, they're not a singular voice, because it's like, well, what are they talking about actually? You know, like, are they anti-jab? Are they, you know, anti-covering their face? Are they, you know, fighting for freedom? There isn't a singular message, so that's where the sort of mainstream media wins out, because they've got just a single message, man, and you know, they win, and they are winning, I think. I don't know, actually, no, there's no, there is a rising consciousness. That's why I'm here. So, yeah, Professor Desmet is quite sort of bleak in that, like as I was saying, you know, we're well past the point where we could have turned around and said no, you know, you know, the media hijacked loads of minds early in the beginning. So yeah, you know, turning around and, you know, with the great idea of a plot twist for the Emperor's New Clothes, that doesn't really work. And Professor Desmet says the snowball cannot be stopped, but we can lessen the effect of it. So for those who are speaking up and speaking out, and whatever that looks like, you know, there's groups and organizations that have formed that are putting out relevant information from physicians, nurses, all manner of, you know, people that doesn't hit the mainstream media, and if it does, it's absolute, you know, the usual disinformation. But there's a lot of that going on, right? And it has to continue. So if that's what you're doing, carry on. And then, you know, and the speaking out comes in many different forms. You know, I'll speak to anybody on the street and just come out with, are you scared? Like, what's really, you know, as I describe in videos. You know, and that's sort of my way, and showing up here, you know, and just speaking to, whether it's the 4 views I get or 44 or whatever it is, just, you know, just sharing. And so whatever it is, just carry on, because actually what that does is, you know, for that 40% that's in the middle, that'll kind of just go with the flow, and, oh, my wife got it, and, you know, and I'm just going to get it because she got it, sort of thing. Those people they can be swayed, that 40% in the middle. And so what I'm here to say is, keep talking, because eventually, as history has shown, that 40%, if they go in the other direction and things get worse, they're sort of the army that is knocking on doors looking for, you know, the Jews, that sort of thing. Just going along with it, because now their life has meaning. Sorry I put it that way, but I don't know how else to put it, because this is rather extreme. The whole thing is rather extreme. And ultimately, you know, it's the place in the middle where the answers lie, in the middle as well. You know, it's actually your heart. I think that's everything. Thank you to everyone who is speaking out, and in whatever way that you are, please, may I ask that we remain compassionate, and keep coming back to the premise that kind of, if you've got the heart, the ability, they know not what they do, and can't see. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not. I'm just or that anything's right. The whole thing is really messed up. We've really gotten far from our divinity, our humanness. We've really gotten super duper far, and so keep speaking with compassion. Listen to people, ask questions, rather than just judging. It's like, it's like when I walk barefoot. I know I bring this up a lot, but like I get judged a lot. I really do. People look at me like, really? And but they don't say anything. And if we were to have a conversation about it, if they were to ask questions, then I think they might realize that actually I'm not that different from them. And so actually we're not. We're all just looking for acceptance and love and validation and assurance, attention, right? So actually I'm going to make another video about that straight away, because I think it fits in quite nicely with the rest of this. So thank you for tuning in. I do appreciate it. I hope it serves. I hope I serve you. And if it makes sense and resonates, please do share. As I say, or have said, I really don't care about subscriptions and likes and stuff like that. I don't care about those things. There's a lot I don't care about. What I do care about is your well-being, and your contentment, your peace, your thriving. Well, that's what I care about. So actually, all I would say is, if this resonates with you and you think that someone hearing this might, it might be worthy for them, please just share. Just share it. That's all. Anyways, on that, I send you a tsunami of love, and God bless you.